Okay, welcome everybody. We're here for our regularly scheduled town board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, everyone. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Before we get started, we're going to have a moment of silence. Obviously, we all have seen what's been going on across the country, the senseless killing of George Floyd. But this moment of silence isn't just for George Floyd. We've had a number of individuals who have been killed across the country in response to a lot of the protests and riots, and I'm going to read their names as well. Calvin L. Horton Jr. from Minnesota, 43 years old. Javar Harrell, 21, of Michigan. Dave Patrick Underwood, 53, of California. James Scurlock, 22, of Nebraska. Chris Beatty, 38, of Indiana. Dorian Morell, 18, of Indiana. Natalia Kelly, 22, from Iowa. David McAtee, 53, from Kentucky. And David Dorn, 77, from Missouri. And 2 people were killed in a suburb of Chicago, and their names were not revealed as I was revealing this article. So we're going to have a moment of silence for all of them and thinking of everyone in this country who's suffering right now. Thank you all. All right, we have our clerk, Tara Stickles, here, our council, Will Frank, Councilwoman Cindy Voss, Councilwoman Sherry Melk, Councilwoman Kristen Brown, and Deputy Supervisor Ron Feller. Ron, how you feeling?
Feeling good, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. First thing is first, we have our Citizen of the Month, and that is Jody Lynn. Jody Lynn is not here via Zoom because we're not doing Zoom. When the appropriate time arises, we will have Jody and honestly probably all the other Citizens of the Month come in when we can bring the public back in and things loosen up as they begin to loosen up as we increase from phase 1 to phase 2. So at a date during the future, we'll definitely bring Jody in. For those that don't know Jody Lynn, she is a volunteer, predominantly a big volunteer of the Walden Community Council, but since the coronavirus outbreak, she has been a huge part of volunteering and recruiting other volunteers as part of the Tom Strong Community Response Team. She helped solicit judges for our essay contest. She's been recruiting young people to donate their time for the food pantry, and just about any time something is needed, she raises her hand and helps, and she's just, again, the type of person who never asks for accolades, never really is somebody who is honored all that much with awards, and we just thought it was really important to recognize her. I'm glad that she was nominated, and remember, those at home, if you want to nominate someone for the month of July for our Citizen of the Month, please just email me at bmar@townofmontgomery.com. I am going to activate the public comment call-in line now.
Welcome to Reservationless Plus Conference.
Is there anyone on from the public who would like to participate in public comment?
Mr. Mark, Don Berger.
Hey Don, missed you for a while at these meetings. Your go for public comment.
Yeah, I like to be in person, you know what I mean?
I do.
So, I'm looking at the agenda, Brian, and I see that I see that you're scheduling
I think you have to mute your computer down.
yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So I see that you have a public hearing, or you're going to be scheduling a public hearing for the moratorium hardship petition for 134 Neely Town Road.
Yes, it looks like that DEIS that was approved the Monday of that planning board meeting, it looks like the moratorium law was actually received at the state just hours before that meeting. So technically, they were not exempt from the law, and they have to go through our process. So tonight, the only thing we're going to be doing is setting a date for a public hearing. No other presentations or anything like that are going to take place. So the public comment portion and our due diligence will take place over the next 2 weeks, and at that public hearing, which is going to be likely, I assume, unless I'm outvoted or we go a different way, probably at the end of the month.
Okay, so you're going to put a public notice in the paper for this and have the proper time allowed for a notice?
Yeah, absolutely. The earliest we would schedule this is 2 weeks from today at our work session, and we could choose to do a different date if we wanted to, but that's possible.
Okay, is it with phase 2 coming up on the 9th? Is it a likelihood that you're going to start opening these meetings to the public?
We've gotten feedback from the governor's office and on our county executive daily phone calls. It looks like the general public will not be invited to board meetings. This is statewide being put down on us until phase 4. So phase 4, we're looking at potentially either towards the last week in June or the first week in July, unless there's a setback. So at that point, hopefully by the first meeting in July, worst case, it looks like the second meeting in July, we will be able to open to the general public. We don't know if that will be to a certain capacity. So there may be a system that's set up for first come, first served sign up. That is something that we'll have to figure out as we see the details from the governor's office. There's a lot of things still up in the air right now, including us still being at 50% capacity with employees as of June 6th.
All right, so with that, I'm just going to reiterate what I've said at past meetings about these public meetings. You just said that phase 4 might come in the first week of July. These public hearings, as I think the whole board and you, Brian, are well aware of, have not really gone very well from the perspective of the residents. The whole Zoom thing was a disaster, and it's the idea that the residents aren't able to be in front of the board, speak to the board directly. I think that resonates a lot more. I don't think at this point that this 134 Neely Town Road project or the hardship is in a great need to have a public hearing in 2 weeks prior to opening it up your town board meetings, particularly it being a work session. I just would reiterate to you guys and hope you guys can understand that the public hearings without being there is an unjust method. It hasn't worked, particularly at the town board and planning board level. It's been a disaster. So I just wanted to make that point. Thanks.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else on the conference call line who would like to speak? Okay. I'm going to end public comment for the meeting. Thank you, Don. Thank you all for listening. All right. Moving on, we will have our coronavirus response update. As I was saying, the June 6th executive order, we're still waiting on feedback to see if that's going to extend. That relates to the municipality here in the town of Montgomery being at 50% capacity. Right now, if it doesn't get extended, starting Monday, our employees would be back. All of them have to come back. So we will have to see if that executive order gets extended. And I'll tell you, the employees are excited to come back, almost everyone I've talked to. So if that's the case, we'll be at full capacity in here, and we will definitely take precautions and use social distancing and put out some information. We do believe the executive order is going to get extended. We just haven't seen it yet. So that is the thinking right now. But I'll update the board when we know more. As for preparing for the general public to enter town hall, it looks like phase 4 will again be either at the end of this month or the very beginning of July. We tonight will be hiring a part-time clerk position we created for a different purpose earlier in the year, and utilizing this person both for that purpose, but also to be cross-trained, but also to have as a receptionist to check people in as they come in to the front door. So there'll be a temperature gauger. So if somebody has 103 fever, again, we're going to get some legal advice on exactly what we would do in that situation, but we're definitely going to be cautious and be as prepared as humanly possible. I want to thank our highway department, Sean Mears and his team. They've been absolutely amazing. They installed some fiberglass in the clerk's office and in other areas, and we've been talking with each of the department heads to find out exactly what they're uneasy about. And as we open up to the general public, I think we'll be extremely prepared. And I think that part-time clerk and having someone there at all times as the building is open is going to be very key for confidence from the public, making the employees feel a bit safe as well. So I think we're doing everything we're doing. Please, as always, give me a feedback, both now and offline, any recommendations you guys have. CAC board appointment. We did miss one last meeting. Not sure how we did that, but Lynn Thompson did put in her application, and she was endorsed by the chair, Patricia Hennigan, to be appointed to the CAC board. So that is an appointment we'd like to make this evening. And
she's a new addition.
she would be a new addition to fill one of the vacancies. I believe there were 2, if I'm correct, right, Sarah?
Yeah, and we could make her term to be retroactive back to January 1st, 2020 and expire December 31st, 2021, as it's a 2-year term.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that.
Second it.
Motion made by Councilwoman Melick, seconded by Councilwoman Kristen Brown. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried. Congratulations, Lynn Thompson, who has actually been a very active member in the CAC. She's a trustee of the Village of Walden, and we've been working together very well on the Tom Strong Green Team Heat Smart Montgomery campaign, which is also utilizing the Valley Central Environmental Club and some awesome volunteers. And Patricia Hennigan, who is the chair of that committee, just want to give her a shout out and thank her for all of the work she's done, working with Carolyn Casada from NYSERDA and bringing this program to the town of Montgomery. For those of you that don't know about the program, we're going to be offering free energy audits to homeowners and businesses in the town of Montgomery. And we're going to utilize the kids and our volunteers to make phone calls to homeowners to inform them about the program for 2 reasons. One, we want to save money on their monthly energy bills. Every little bit helps right now amid this pandemic. And 2, we want to limit the carbon footprint of any homeowner and businesses in the town of Montgomery, become more energy efficient as a town. And the town itself, the municipality, I'm going to be exploring a lot of different energy audits for ourselves, weatherization improvements. Obviously, our windows are an issue. Take a look at our lighting. I know they've already been looked at recently, but we're going to do what we can as a municipality as well. So thank you for that approval. Lynn's going to make a great addition to the CAC board. Planning board schedule interviews. So Fred, obviously, and some other members couldn't be available for that meeting, so we had to postpone it. That we scheduled 2 weeks ago. We would like to.
It was available, might be interested in applying for it. I think the more we interview, the better position, better people we get for the board. So I just like to make that suggestion, we repost it.
I agree with that.
Would this be for ethics as well, or just planning? All vacancies, maybe?
I
think
I'm
ethics
up in
also.
this, but I mean,
I wouldn't single one board out. If we have vacancies, I would just do it all at once.
I think people are becoming more involved in their community and would be interested in sitting on these boards.
I would say we should give special consideration, though, specifically maybe an interview, even an interview guarantee for those that we were thinking of interviewing. I think that would be
Interview all of
appropriate.
them. Yeah.
Well, we will not interview all 20, but what I'm saying is the 4 that we were going to interview, I would absolutely still, if we recruited more people, make sure they got at least an interview
Definitely.
because they got ahead of this.
Yep.
Kristen, Ron, what do you guys think?
I agree with that.
I think we need to stop kicking the can down the road. This is something that should have been done 6 months ago, and we are leaving the planning board in a tough spot because they are 1 member short. And if they have they had a member absent a little while ago, it just leaves the planning board chair in a bad spot to not have that seat filled.
I thought of that. I did talk to the planning board chair And I asked him, because we were gonna be kicking this down because he couldn't make it, I said, how are you guys doing? He didn't appear to say this was something we needed to do ASAP, but I do understand where you're coming from. There could be a situation and it's a 3-3 vote, and what happens? Ron, what do you think?
Well, we had 4 candidates for the open slot that we didn't interview. Let's go.
Correct.
I would, since it's 6 months past, I mean, next January, or is there gonna be another open slot?
No, well, I mean, there might be, next year, what do we have?
Next year, John Brown's term is up.
He's very good, yeah.
You're trying to get Bill Kelly's term, Bill Kelly.
Bill Kelly, yep, and then there's Rose and Fred are up for reappointment right now.
But also Ryan McGuire's term ends at the end of this
John
year.
and Ryan.
All right, so some others, if there's some terms that end this year, so 6 months down the road, we'll be re-interviewing again. So
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know, we might decide, hey, we really like these two, why would we interview? You know, I think as a board, we kind of interviewed everyone, and it was a very new board, we had 3 new members, and we kind of made that effort. But I don't think moving forward, every year, if there's somebody getting reappointed, we necessarily are gonna put out for an interview.
I think that should be to the discretion of the chairman.
Well, I mean, it's to our discretion.
Board.
Yeah, I think we got 4 people that expressed their interest. Why don't we interview them and fill the board up?
I think we should post it again.
I think we should do the interviews with the forum and move it along.
So if we decide to make a date to do the interviews, like 2 weeks from now, we have the 2 weeks for somebody to,
We don't have to make it a long
Right.
process, right?
What are you guys saying, like, for the next 2 weeks, put it out there, and then 2
Right.
weeks from now, we just really wait in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
So
so I would
4
say 8
weeks.
months, definitely.
We would be waiting 2 weeks longer than if we made a decision now.
Right.
I mean, wait,
why
well,
can't we make a decision date now?
To interview?
Yeah.
We could,
And then see if we get any more.
and just add more interviews. We
Yeah.
can do that, that gets both people's needs, yeah.
I'm confused.
So we would set a date for the interviews,
Mhm.
and we would also say if there's anyone else interested, and then we could decide to add more people to interview, is what they're saying. That way we can go ahead, we're not wasting time,
Right.
but we're also opening it up for anyone else who might be interested.
But the 4 people that have been waiting for 6 months are gonna, like, what are we gonna do for them? Because they already put in their interest, they already put in
We're
their
gonna interview
application.
them.
Well, we're gonna interview the new people that are now gonna show an interest too.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't we give the 4 people that we already have in the file, interview them? Because they already put in, this has been posted. We had all this information when the 3 of us took this oath of office. So to me, it's not fair to the 4 people that already put in their names and already put in their slot. They should be interviewed and we should move this thing forward.
I think it's
Stop
fair to the
procrastinating.
community and fair to these people. We do both.
I mean, it just, we have 2 board members that feel like, okay, well, maybe we'll get a few more.
I think it
board
sends a
members.
message to the people that have been waiting 6 months, or maybe they don't want us to meet, so they're opening up the interviews again. We have to have a process. You set a date, people apply for it, and you interview. And then, like, I kind of agree with it. Wait 3 months, well, we shouldn't be in this situation now in June anyway.
I agree, but we were in the situation because of what happened, obviously.
If
Yeah.
Mr. Reichel didn't, we interviewed last week, we wouldn't even be talking about it.
That's true.
I just think we posted during the winter, now it's a different time, people are home, seeing more, getting involved more. I think
Okay,
it's
let's do this.
opportunity.
I mean, like we're setting an interview, we'll interview the 4 people. We can say if there's anybody else wanna apply, and then we can decide as a group, whether we accept them or not. But we don't slow down the process in any way. We still have to make a determination whether or not we wanna interview them. We can send the resumes that I get over via email, and if we as a majority of the board wanna add them to the interview, we can. So that way it just does both.
How would you advertise it?
I just put it out the same way we did on Facebook and just say, hey, for the next week or so, anyone else who wants to submit an application, we're interviewing for the planning board.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, I understand where you're coming from, but we did also take some that applied for other boards and ask them to move over to the planning, so there's already a bit of, you could argue there's a little bit of unfairness to those people as well from that standpoint. I don't think it hurts to ask for more people, as long as we interview the people we said we would interview. That's the most important thing to me. Cindy, what do you think?
I agree.
Terry? Alright, so we're gonna set a date for an interview, let's set it now.
Do you have dates where the chairman is available?
Oh, that's a good point.
We don't wanna
Do that
set a
again.
date and go down the same.
He
What
told
about-
me
what
after-
about- What about a day that they have their meeting earlier?
We do it earlier.
Okay.
He's not gonna be able to do earlier today, he can do an evening. So he was good, he couldn't do that day, but he's good for evenings.
We got a pre-screen, you say we got 15 people.
Yeah, no, I just said, so if we get people,
So we're gonna have to have an executive session to pre-screen the new 15 people to see who
No.
we're meeting out?
He'll
No?
send them out by email.
I-
and we'll have-
I could just send him out by email.
You just said that what? Your ones that you wanna take off and the ones that you wanna keep on? Is that-
Nobody's taking off, nobody's.
I said, if we have 15 people that apply for it, we're gonna
Yes.
interview 15 more people. That was-
No, I said I would email out the people that we get, and then we could have discussions on, like, individually, do we wanna pick this person or that person to also join in the interview? And then
Not gonna get 15 people.
I don't think so
mean,
either.
this
I don't-
doesn't
we-
happen.
we might not get any.
Probably not.
Alright, let's set a date. After my conversations with Fred, he said evenings are gonna work, so I think he'll be able to make, let's see, we got next Thursday, the 11th. How do you guys feel about that?
What time?
So Fred said the evenings, he's not gonna be able to do it during the day. So I would say,
6. Is that too early?
no, I think 6 is gonna be fine for him.
Do we know if the candidates have any evenings where they're not available?
We did this last time, we just set the date and said, here it is, and this is what we're gonna do. So I think it'd be a little hard to try to, you know, do that. Okay,
Again, are you going into executive session right away? I'm here at 5. I'm not giving it up.
No,
But
I-
I'll make sure somebody's here.
Well, we can't interview next Thursday anyway.
No,
Don't we have
yeah.
to have some time to get this out to the public and get feedback and
I mean,
analyze their resumes? and
why don't we
everything?
look at Tuesday, June 23rd?
Wow.
Our next meeting is Thursday, June 25th, so we could do it before then.
No, our meeting's June 18th.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over.
July's the.
Right. So Tuesday, June 16th. 6 p.m. Do you have a hair appointment that day?
No, I'll be looking good.
All right. Are you good that day?
I gotta check with my barber and see when he opens.
Alright, we're gonna do the special meeting to conduct interviews for the planning board on Tuesday, June 16th, and then we're going to promote anyone who's interested in interviewing for the planning board from tomorrow, and we'll close that out on Friday, June 12th. So that'll give us the weekend to decide if we're gonna interview anyone else with the 4 candidates we are going to interview on Tuesday, June 16th at a special meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion to schedule a special meeting on Tuesday, June 16th at 6 p.m. For the purpose of interviewing potential planning board candidates?
So moved.
I'll second
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried. And what I'll do is I'll put a notice out for all of the boards, not just planning board, but here's the vacancies. Please take the next week to spread the word, and I'll get more candidates for all the boards.
We're not interviewing everybody Tuesday.
No,
16th.
we're not.
Planning board.
No, we'll see that if we get the resumes in, I'll email them around, and we'll go from there, okay?
Sarah, do you want me to do a notice? or do you
I'm
want-
just gonna use the other one.
Does all boards have vacancies at this point?
Only the boards with vacancies. There's,
Send it to the paper.
Only the
think
boards
3.
that we did not, sorry, only
Correct.
the boards that we did not fill
correct,
during the reorg meeting,
correct,
which was in January.
yes.
So what about the ethics board now? What-
That's correct, so we already have the,
We're not gonna do interviews that day for,
we'll do the planning board interviews first, and then we'll do one board at a time. We'll just try to do them every
Okay.
week, so we don't take forever. Okay. Moving on. Resolution to authorize supervisor to execute landfill monitoring agreement. Will, you want to explain this one?
This is an annual requirement that we have, and this is the proposal that we have. It's from Sterling Environmental for $5,665. It was recommended by our town engineers. It's an annual requirement. There's a couple of tweaks that we need to do with the contract, but otherwise, the cost is in line with, I believe, what it has been in the past for the sampling and for the monitoring. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the resolution of the town board of the town of Montgomery authorizing the supervisor to accept the 2020 annual post-closure monitoring proposal for the town of Montgomery landfill with Sterling Environmental Engineering, PC?
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
Motion made by Deputy Supervisor Feller, seconded by Councilwoman Melick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried.
We'll make sure that the language in their boilerplate, their proposal portion is fine, just their standard boilerplate, a lot of it does not apply to municipalities, so we're just cleaning that up.
Awesome.
Before you sign it, we'll make sure it's acceptable.
Much appreciated, Will. Thank you. Our next resolution is to hire a part-time bus driver. We had one applicant and one interview. It went very well. Mr. Daniel Canatella is a former MTA bus driver in New York City for 25 years, got a ton of experience, and this person will be doing a lot of the scheduling as well. So it'll allow us to shift a part-time employee that was doing scheduling and fill a need we had in the building and planning department, who will also help us at the front door for when we reopen the general public. So we've been really able to get creative and shift around, and we've utilized funding in the transportation department, which is good, to make sure that we have this position. So this individual will be working at $18.84 per hour for a 6-month probationary period, and then it will go up to $19.84 per hour, and that is less than the current bus drivers. So even after the probation period, it won't be up to what the drivers, full-time other drivers are. It'll be still a little lower. So we did start a little lower.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Melick, resolution of the town board of the town of Montgomery to appoint a part-time bus driver, Daniel Canatella, at $18.84 per hour, seconded by Councilwoman Boss.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It says effective as of blank in a resolution.
Sorry, so the effective date is Monday, June 8th,
June, thank you.
and that will be the same on the next resolution as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried. Thank you, guys and gals. Okay, the next one, Michelle Sharp. She was a tremendous candidate. We had 7 applicants. I interviewed everybody, and it was not easy. Gotta tell you, I had Megan in the interviews with me. Definitely talked it out. We had some really good candidates. Really wish I could have hired them all to do something, because there were some really good candidates, and we didn't promote it for a very long period of time and still had a tremendous amount of candidates. So made all the calls to let them know that that they didn't get it. Thank you for applying. Played a little bit of joke with Michelle, acted like she wasn't going to get it for a second until she got the job. She was very happy about that. But I'm excited to bring her on. She was very much got a great resume. Very excited. Someone that we believe we can work in a lot of different areas. So would anyone like to make a motion to approve the resolution of the town board of the town of Montgomery appointing part-time clerk Michelle Sharp at the rate of $17.50 per hour, or $16.50 per hour,
Effective June 8th.
effective Monday, June 8th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Councilwoman Brown, seconded by Councilwoman Melick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Next up, this resolution was taken off our agenda at the last meeting. Since the final planning board documents have been approved, we can now consider the resolution to authorize supervisor to execute stormwater and site improvement inspection professional fee escrow agreement and stormwater management facility maintenance easement and agreement with Medline Industries, Inc. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilman Melick,
Second.
seconded by Deputy Supervisor Ron Feller.
I have a
Any
question.
discussion? Yep.
With the execution of a stormwater control facility maintenance easement and agreement, and with the escrow account, that will be following our local law number 1, correct?
Yes, that's why
There'll be no change to what we're gonna ask for escrow.
390,000 is the escrow, the initial escrow.
Okay.
And when it gets to 100,000, they have to replenish.
Right, I read that in the email, but what does our local law number 1 state? Is that a deviation from the local law?
our
that we
need to
established?
approve, yes, our need to approve the escrow agreement is based on the same conversation we had with Sailfish. So it was the same conversation that came up And that's why we're approving this escrow agreement in lieu of, on top of our law, or because of our law that was passed,
So
which we
we're-
still have to fix.
I was just gonna say, so we passed a law 6 months ago, we've deviated from it twice,
Yeah, we need to fix the law.
and this is the second time.
Yep.
And it's just because it's a large, to me, it really doesn't sit right that we're helping out the large companies, but the small companies are at the same percentage and they have to fork out the money for the escrow.
It's not money we're losing, it's money that they're not gonna spend anyway. And it's just a percentage in the law. And honestly, the only thing in our law that needs to change is to allow us the ability to exercise our right to change that number without creating a local law or an escrow agreement.
For just cause.
Correct.
It may be that a smaller project will also ask for a deviation because it's the amount that would be required under the percentage is never gonna be used for professional fees or anything else. In this case, it's still a rather significant number, and telling them that it's getting replenished at 100,000, that's a lot of professional fees at municipal rates. So you're correct, though, we need to revisit the law.
We do.
To make a modification to it.
And I wouldn't necessarily change the percentage, because for
No.
most of the projects it makes sense, but
Yeah.
just give language so that we're not in this issue where we have an escrow agreement every time. You give some enforcement to either the supervisor and or the engineer or combination, to be able to work with a number that makes sense. It's important to note to the general public who's listening and everybody here, we're not losing out on fees that would go directly into the general fund. These are specifically put into an account only to be used to pay town consultants to inspect the site work. And that's it. And we're having the developer pay for our people to inspect the site work, which should be done on every project, which wasn't always done on previous projects.
It's been done for a long time.
What do you mean?
That we set up an escrow and have the projects pay
I was
the consultants.
speaking to the fact that some of these larger projects did not get the inspections they get now. They hadn't. in the
Correct,
past.
we do have a lot more record on that, but it just doesn't sit right with me that we're gonna give leniency to these bigger companies, yet we're not going to.
I wouldn't call it
It's
leniency.
not like, it's called.
It is leniency, we're changing our law.
No, we're not.
We're
And
not.
saying-
We're just holding
We're not.
their money, we're gonna give it back to them if they don't spend it.
That's
We're just
fine, then
holding
we give it
it
back, but we're not giving them leniency by saying, okay, we're gonna hold $315,000 in our account, with 6% of the total project cost is significantly different amount of money.
Right, but it doesn't change anything for the town. It doesn't add a positive for the town. So if it's something that stretches the developer into a place where they don't need to be stretched, and it doesn't hurt the town in any way, why would we not accommodate the developer? If there's a benefit we're missing out on, sure, I'm with you, but we're not. So if we can go out of our way to help a developer and it doesn't hurt us in any way, why wouldn't we do that?
Kind of like a road bond, isn't it? I mean, we
Yeah.
take money from the people, put money in, and then they get it back as they use it or don't use it.
And equate that to having a road bond that would be too large for the person to even build a development, because they wouldn't be able to put it up. Kristen's point is they should be able to, because they're a large company.
Yeah,
We're just trying to be,
too large for Amazon, for Bezos, the richest guy in the world. I
again,
mean,
Kristen,
come on.
we're not losing anything. The town isn't losing
No,
money.
we're just bending over and saying,
We're not
here you
bending-
go, we'll accommodate you and not ask for a larger amount.
We don't need to ask for a larger amount.
But
Do-
what's it, we're not putting in an interest-bearing account, what's the big deal? Whether we we follow our law that we passed the first law of the year,
I think
or we're gonna continue to deviate from it for larger,
we're not.
Larger
We've
developments.
already said we're gonna change the law. We have to make changes to the law. So that's what comes next. So we don't put ourselves in a position to even have this conversation in the future.
I could do an escalating scale, something like
Something similar, there's a couple things that we're gonna look at. There's another municipality that has just a quick little language tweak that's pretty much all we'll need. But we'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting so we don't have to revisit this if and when a larger development has the same issue. Any, or a smaller one, or a smaller
Doesn't
one.
need that large amount,
Sure.
right?
That's true. Any other feedback before we vote? All in favor?
that. All right.
Any opposed?
me,
1 opposition, Councilwoman Brown. Motion passed. Okay, resolution to authorize supervisor to submit application for the fiscal year community development block grant. We did get verification from CDBG that we do not have to have a specific project identified to pass this resolution. I know Kristen has already put some outreach together on brainstorming some different ideas that we will definitely get by the end of the month. I believe there's a specific date we need it by in the month of June, so we're gonna get on that next week, I believe, and brainstorm some projects and get this rolled up.
Did we,
Everybody, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, did we get clarification because according to the CDBG grant, somebody needed to attend that class in February?
Bernard did.
February, Bernard did, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we got
I just
the-
wanted to make sure we had a town resident there that makes us eligible for the grants.
Yeah, we actually had 2. We had Bernard, and before we caught the fact that that happened, we did get a phone call, Kristen. Lincoln Tully, who also is, at that time was an engineer, was represented as well, so we would have had representation through them, but Bernard did show up,
Okay, great, thank
no
you.
problem.
And everybody got the information that I sent around?
Yes, thank you.
Deputy Supervisor, you got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Would anyone like to make a motion approving the resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Montgomery authorizing the submission of a grant application to Orange County Office of Community Development Block Grant, CDBG? Motion made by Councilwoman Kristen Brown, seconded by Councilwoman Cindy Boss. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. All right, scheduling of public hearing for 134 Neelytown Road moratorium hardship petition. I was just thinking we would schedule this at our next meeting, although it's a work session. Sometimes we've scheduled public hearings at 6:30, so I would be open to doing that. That would be Thursday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. or sometime thereafter.
That meeting is definitely not gonna be accommodating the public, no.
We would do the same thing we did with previous public meetings, which is the phone, email. Obviously, they can, I don't know that we want to try Zoom again. So I would say phone, email, and, those would be the 2 ways of commenting and taking part.
What about
If-
Mr. Burgers?
If we wait till the first meeting of July, is it a possibility the public will be allowed?
Maybe.
So I think we should schedule it for them.
I would
This was
agree with that.
This was approved like
It was approved,
within
yeah.
2 hours.
Well, I think it's whether or not you want to try to wait and hold off for the public to be able to come in person and comment. I think that's what we're deliberating over. And we don't know that that's going to be the first week in July.
But there's a possibility.
I mean,
Remote.
let me do the math actually, so, just so we
It's
can.
stage 4, and we have to wait till, before we can open up, that's not gonna be until at least the second meeting in July, I think.
Okay, so absolutely, it will not be, sorry, I misspoke. So I just did so June 8th, if we're in phase 2 on Monday. Phase 3, 2 weeks later, would be the 22nd. Phase 4 would be Monday, June 6th, and our meeting is
July.
Tuesday,
July.
July 6th. Our meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 2nd.
Right.
So unless something happens, it will not be that first meeting in July. It's possible it will be, because we have heard that 2-week threshold isn't firm. So the governor could make that earlier.
But it could go back also,
It could go back also.
probably more of a chance of going back.
Right.
Can we do the 9th then, do a special meeting? I mean, I think it's important that we get the public's input. This is our first one that we're listening to as a
So-
waiver process.
2 things. First, I think we have been getting the public's input. And as much as Don made his comments, and I respect it, the fact that he is definitely, it's more advantageous to have people in person. Their voices are being heard. They have the ability to have their voices heard and their comments made. So that's just one. I don't know that we can predict when we're gonna be able to bring people in. It's my only concern with holding off on scheduling a meeting. And I agree, if we had a hard date, I would wait, I would hold off, because I do see the value in people coming in, in person. We just don't know when that's gonna be.
The safe bet would be after, the state verbat, right? If we had a crystal ball, it would be after July 6th.
Yes.
So if we had a special meeting on the 8th for the public hearing, we're taking a chance, we could get the public to come in. I mean, if we schedule it for the next board meeting, there's no way we can get the public to come in. We all know that. But if we wait until the 7th or 8th or 9th, I don't know what the other boards' meetings are. I don't think there's any meetings those days.
I will say this. I will say this, we don't have to, I will say, that's funny you say that, some people are. I will say this, we don't have to close the public hearing. So we could
Right.
start out 2 weeks from now and decide at that point, and we'll, in 2 weeks, have a much better, clearer picture of whether or not stage 4 will be sooner rather than later. So we can still responsibly, decide not to close the public hearing and keep it open. We still have that choice,
Next meeting, yeah.
to do that.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
But Kristen,
The
your point's
public
taken.
hearing has to be held under the law within 45 days of the date that the application is received. So the application was received on May 29th. Tara, did you get the check? Did he bring the check?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you get that or not?
That brings us to like July 12th, something like that.
Yeah, so,
So as long as it's completed within the 45 days.
Completed or open?
completed,
Public hearing needs to be closed too, or just open.
I thought it just had to be open.
Don't want, so, I don't have the one. I'll check that. I don't have a copy of it.
All right,
I do know that the public hearing has to be, it may not need to be closed, we need to definitely schedule it for sure.
well, listen, it's all about information, right? So the sooner we let them present and get the information out to the public, the
And
more
keep it-
time they'll have to deliberate and do research. So the longer we wait off the initial public hearing, the less time they'll have if we shorten the amount of window of time they can respond. So for me, I feel like 2 weeks, let's at least get this thing going, and we can always keep the public hearing open if we choose to do that.
And how are we gonna know if the public actually got a chance to respond? I mean, there's been a lot of technology issues in calling in. Do we have a procedure for that? Like, is somebody going to read the emails as they come in that night, or are we just gonna leave it
Usually-
open for a chance for comments?
Usually, all of the emails have gone to you guys directly. Have you guys gotten those emails when they come in? Those email comments?
Yeah.
I believe you all get them, emailed.
I think so, I don't know specifically what you're talking
Getting
about.
from
So when
Susan,
people
Tara,
email comments as
Okay,
part of the
yes.
public hearing, you guys all get
Yes.
them. Okay, good.
Yeah.
You get scared for a second. All right, so let's set the date for the public hearing, and everything else we can choose to make this process as long as, is, I wanna use the word, what does our law say? Reasonable,
And
reasonable amount of time.
what are we gonna allow for the applicant's representation?
I would do what we did with, our presentation that, our architect did, so I'd probably have him come here and give him an opportunity. Have Will move to the corner, I can take Will's spot, we'll wipe it down, but, probably that same setup.
So we're gonna allow the applicant's attorney in here, but we're not gonna allow the general public.
We just did it at the last meeting, we had our consultant come in and do a presentation.
But he was our consultant,
Does that make him any less of an ability to contract the virus and spread it?
Well, you
No,
can
but I'm just saying it's not
one,
fair.
but you can't a room full.
it's not, yes, you can, they do, the
You're
governor does it
allowed
every
to.
day.
I know Kristen's right, let's stay on the point though. So, I mean, I don't see a difference between any consultant, whether it's a developer coming in or our own consultant pitching something. I don't see any difference. As long as we're conducting the business of the board, that's the most important part. And as long as there's not 5 or 6 people presenting and it's just one person, I think we can safely be comfortable with that. That's just my opinion.
It doesn't sit right with many people that we're gonna allow an applicant's consultant in here, but they can't come themselves to speak their mind. That's not fair to our constituents.
I mean, I wish they could come in here. The law says they can't.
Then can the applicant's consultant call in like
I mean,
everybody else does?
they can call in, but I think it'd be better it's always a better thing to do in person. That's why people want to come. That's why residents want to come. It's a better experience. They feel like they're more heard. So why would we not allow, I mean, if it's in the spirit of getting the information out there and having a presentation so people can comment it appropriately, we probably want to have them in person. So I'm just not sure. I agree with that.
Okay. We can disagree
Okay.
openly.
I agree. We can disagree. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm okay with setting the public hearing for, I think we all decided on that, right? Thursday, June 18th, 6:30 p.m. Would anyone like to make that motion?
To make that motion.
Motion made by Councilwoman Melick, seconded by Councilwoman Voss. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Change the resolution, it says 7 on it.
Yes, I'm going to mention. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next, resolution to authorize supervisor to execute meadows at Pond Ridge. Will, you wanna take this one?
Sure. This subdivision approved by the planning board, and a lot of the conditions, or the conditions set by the planning board required certain agreements to be tendered by the developer. And those are a drainage easement, an offer of dedication for a road, which is not going to be dedicated at this time. What normally happens in these situations is the offer of dedication is made, the deed to the road and the transfer documents to the road are tendered. We hold them in escrow until the planning board and the building department are satisfied with the manner in which the project is built. So we wouldn't take it as a town road. We have an offer of dedication. We don't take it as a town road until such time as there's sign off by our professionals. The road was built to spec. All the other conditions of the development have been properly met. And really one of the last things that the town does is accept the dedication of the road and file the documents. And there was some, there's stormwater management agreement and easement road maintenance agreement. And actually, I already have the signed bargain and sale deed here for the road, which would be held in escrow. I reviewed these documents. Planning board attorney has reviewed these documents. As a matter of full disclosure, I let the planning board attorney take more of the lead on this one because other attorneys in my firm do work for this developer, so I stayed away from everything except reviewing the documents after Mr. Hoyt was satisfied with them. And these are standard agreements. We didn't really have much change to them. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
Thank you, Will.
We've done this, this standard procedure for approved subdivisions.
Anybody have any other questions for Will before we consider the motion?
Well, you stated drainage easement.
Yep.
What's involved in the drainage easement? Does that mean that we maintain the easement, or it's owned by?
They're required to install stormwater facilities, and to do that, they're granting an easement. Once the facilities are dedicated to the town, they have to give us an easement so we can go in there and maintain it. They're building everything out, and then it becomes part of the town's facilities. We have to have this easement to get in there. They need to go build the stuff, install it in the ground, and all of the appurtenances. After that's also dedicated to the town, we have to have the right to cross over private property to do the maintenance, if there's routine maintenance, repairs, so on.
So when you say maintenance, do we have funds to do that maintenance? How do we do that maintenance?
Is there an amount that was put aside for that in the situation? I think it's what?
I believe this is gonna be in the district.
Yeah.
And it's basically from their water and sewer fees, I believe.
In the district, like is there a drainage district?
I believe so. Yes, there's a drainage district being established.
So does the drainage district pay into a fund that maintains those stormwater practices?
Yes.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
That's, they're assessed on their, they pay their water and sewer fees from the, and from that's where the maintenance and repairs come from.
Okay, so to be clear, Councilman Brown's point was to make sure that there was actually funds that were set aside.
There will be funds available when maintenance and repairs are required.
That was the question, good.
Because these ponds, I know from my previous experience, do require
Yes.
maintenance, mowing, sometimes actually digging out the excavation to make sure that the ponds still have the same capacity that they were designed for.
Yes.
And I just wanna make sure that it's not gonna come out of our general fund
Sure.
where
No.
taxpayers outside of the district would have to pay
No.
Is it
for these
district-
practices
is it
now.
district, yeah.
All right, thanks, Kristen, thank you, Will.
Well, is there any reason why the map number is left out on
Map hasn't been filed yet, subdivision map can't
6
be
different
filed.
places? So it hasn't, so we don't know the map number.
No, it hasn't been filed yet, so all of this is signed off on. Then the chairman will sign the map and we'll complete these agreements.
I will, when you call the vote, I will abstain because I did not get a chance to read these documents. Will said that they were sent before, but I did not see them in my email. I had Megan copy them off at 2 o'clock today. I don't think that's appropriate to vote on something that I didn't get to review the documents.
No, understand, if you haven't reviewed the documents, then you want to abstain, it's fine.
They were sent, just so we're clear, they were sent on the 27th of May. It may have been, with the way your email is, it's kind of tough to, you may have to figure out a way to change your settings or something. And we sent them again today, of course, but if you didn't see them beforehand, you didn't see them.
And if in the future, if we can incorporate all of those into an email, or these are the resolutions, this is the supporting documentation, like Brian, when you sent the email for the agenda, I emailed you back that day and said, I need the supporting documentation to understand what new business A through G meant.
So basically, when we send the resolution email to also send maybe the previously same stuff in one, so it's easier to find, we can do that.
If you could facilitate that, that would be great, thank you.
Not a problem.
Okay.
My apologies, still I did not get a chance to review it. And I probably got it in May. I got it today at 2:30.
No, I had Will resend it when I saw that some people were unsure, so I want to make sure you at least had it in your hand.
Yeah, we talked to him on speakerphone in your office when we went there.
Oh, yeah, great. All right, would anyone like to make a motion to adopt the resolution of the town board of the Town of Montgomery authorizing the supervisor to execute a drainage easement, security easement, declaration of easement, and road maintenance agreement, and private stormwater management facilities maintenance and easement agreement and covenant? Motion made by Councilwoman Moss,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilwoman Melick. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
And
2 abstentions. Vote passed 3-0. Deputy Supervisor Feller, Councilman Brown abstaining. Okay. The last item here I handed to me today. This was a vehicle that was damaged, a police vehicle. We did get 2 quotes. The recommendation is to use the more expensive quote because of the experiences in the past. I trust
I agree with that.
the recommendations of both the police department and some other recommendations in town hall, so
Well,
it is.
I got a problem with that.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I have personal experience with both of these, and I really like Ronnie Walton's place, A. And B, we shouldn't ask for quotes. And we went over this today when we were at the garage. Do not ask somebody for a quote. If he's a low quote, he's not gonna get it anyway because we don't like our past experiences with him. Don't ask him for a quote.
I think you have to ask for certain quotes for
But don't ask for a quote when you have a preconceived idea or notion
I
that
understand
you're
what
not
you're
gonna
saying.
accept it.
I understand what you're saying.
So, let's be honest about this.
What happened? Like, I don't
I mean,
understand what.
I'm not
$2,000
gonna.
worth of damage, it's gotta be what?
Oh, you mean a vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time we're seeing this, so what happened, what brought this on?
There was an officer that was in an accident and there was vehicle damage. And this is just the bill to fix it. So you're asking just the details on exactly
Doesn't
how,
the insurance company take care of this?
up to a certain point, yes. But
Yeah.
What does that mean?
there's a deductible and there's,
So are they gonna pay for it
so,
up to our deductible? or-
no,
No, why?
it's a good question.
Can we find out more information
We're
on
gonna
that?
table this, yeah, we're gonna table it.
I don't like getting information the night of the meeting.
Yeah, no, we're gonna table it.
Not fair.
All right, moving forward. Good of the order. No, audit number 7. So, any issues with the bills? I know everybody had some questions. I believe we got those answered. So would anyone like to make a motion to approve audit number 7 of 2020 in the amount of $1,629,705.80?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I will abstain because there is a reimbursement in there for a training that I attended.
One abstention. All right, motion carried. All right, good of the order. Ron?
You don't have to stay for it. I mean, if I
I
put
just-
it, if
I
I put
just-
in dental billing.
She felt like she needed to.
I
We
just
talked about
felt it
this,
was-
you don't have to, but it doesn't really affect the vote.
I'm not sure if this comes under the good of the order, but a couple of nights ago, the Village of Montgomery approved their summer rec program. They are gonna have a summer rec program.
Village of Montgomery?
Yes.
With the virus?
The governor said it was okay to start as of June 29th.
So my question, and I wanna tie it into the good of the order, is are we gonna address when we can open up our fields to allow usage for teams to start practicing on, et cetera?
That has not been allowed yet, and that's not something that's been part of the camp, so we can start preparing.
So June 29th,
Is
they can
only
do a rec
camps.
program, but they can't,
Yeah, that's
They
confusing.
cannot do team sports, correct?
okay,
That was explicit.
was,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
I know, we've been getting a lot of feedback on that. There are preparations being made by a lot of these activities, basketball, football, for the end of July.
Mhm.
But again, there's still no guidance on if they're even gonna be allowed yet.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I heard Murphy, Jersey said they're gonna open it up to non-contact organized sports. And my question was, is baseball, is softball a non-contact sport or is it a contact?
It's a contact sport.
Baseball's a contact sport?
Yeah.
Well, you can slide into second and touch
Yeah.
somebody, I mean, if that's, yeah, I know, it's a tough,
He said Jersey said non-contact sports?
yeah,
Is that ping pong?
organized non-contact
How many
sports.
are there?
Well, there's tennis and there's maybe swimming.
Tennis, yes.
Tennis, ping pong, golf is opening up.
You're right, there's
Golf has
no,
been open.
I'm a contact sport guy, so I didn't know.
Okay, so thank you.
So no, the governor of New York has not set out any guidelines for team sports. Even adult softball teams have been asking me, can we put a practice? I've said, unfortunately, that's not allowed yet. Keep everybody posted though, as we get information. Kristen, anything?
One other thing.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not sure if it's good of the order or not, but I think Sean told us they're gonna start working on the Berea bathrooms next.
Yes, next week they're gonna start doing some work.
So they're gonna somebody's gonna move the underground facilities and we're waiting on.
We're in discussions with Will about that
Is
issue.
there gonna be somebody gonna pay some money for that? Is that correct?
We're in discussions with Will on that issue.
Okay.
And we'll give you guys an update, but that's gonna be an additional expense.
Can we get an update before they break ground? If what?
I mean, we're gonna have to move it, there's gonna be additional expense, the update is gonna be whether, I don't know, I don't wanna say the
Responsible.
wrong thing, yeah.
And you're gonna talk about the ambulances, you told me that.
Yes, so I'm gonna get to that in,
Okay,
go the
I'll-
order as
I'll
well.
finish.
Alright, Kristen?
I just wanted to put out a shout out to the teachers. I'm gonna try not to do this without getting too upset, but today I picked up my daughter's stuff from preschool and teachers were all standing outside, waving with their big, yay, congratulations, and
Tomorrow's the last day of school.
our preschool is doing education up until I think a week from tomorrow. But I know that everybody's having it tough. The kids, my daughter asks every day when she can go up and give somebody a hug. And it's just heartbreaking that things are so different for them. And I can't tell her, Bailey, you can't give this person a hug. But it's also the teachers, and it was really heartwarming to see them out there and say best of wishes to all the kids. So I wanted to give a shout out to all the teachers because I know they're having a tough time too.
Okay. Thank you, Kristen. Sharon?
Nothing in that, you just still every day, you do a great job. Getting on Facebook and telling everybody about what's going on and how things are. I
Thanks.
really appreciate that.
We're actually gonna take those and make them weekly now, and I've been trying to shift them from COVID-19 updates to community updates, so just wanna make sure we're not just solely focused on COVID and just talking about a lot of good things and great stuff going on in the community as a whole. So those are gonna turn into weekly community updates every Monday at 9:30 a.m. live stream. Cindy, anything?
I was very happy to see the Memorial Day ceremony.
Oh.
I know it was virtual, but thank you.
No
Yeah.
problem.
And Brian, one other thing, everybody knows that the school budget is gonna be
Yes,
June 9th. If you don't have your budget applications received by 5 o'clock on June 9th, it will not be accepted.
The absentee ballots.
Yes, no, it's not absentee ballots, everything is gonna be done by mail.
Well, we're calling them vote by mail
All
ballots.
by mail ballots. So I got mine in the mail today, my wife did too, a lot of people haven't
Today?
gotten them yet. If you can't get them, there are locations you can get them.
Really? Okay.
Yes. At the
Where,
schools.
you can get a ballot at the school?
No, I know you can drop it off at the school.
I don't think you
know
can get a ballot. I think everybody's ballots are getting mailed to them, that's the only way you
And
can
if
get
they
a
don't
ballot.
get a ballot, what happens?
They can't vote. It's a messed up situation.
So June
Yeah,
9th.
so it's
They can request an absence, yeah.
It's not.
Everyone is getting a ballot mailed to them. If for some reason they don't get a ballot mailed to them, they should call the school district immediately.
The street board, there's 2 slots open for the board, there's 3 people running, and it's basically $1.7 million increase, which is, I guess, under the cap.
2.8%, and it's under the tax cap because of the formula, and it's a 1.something% increase from the previous year, but according to the cap and how the formula works out, it's a 2.8% increase.
Yeah, 1.7 million.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that, other than, try to get your hands on a budget. I get the brochure sent home, I'm not sure if everybody gets it sent home, but go out and vote one way or the other.
I get
Sure.
Pine Bushes, I don't understand why, I get Valley Central and Pine Bushes
You didn't really?
information.
I know how much money you got in there.
So, to make it clear for everyone who's listening, and specifically for the school budget vote, what we basically said is, if you didn't get your ballot in the mail today, you should be getting it tomorrow. For some reason, if you don't get it tomorrow, call the school district. You have to put that ballot in the mail immediately. If you didn't do it today, do it tomorrow. Or if you feel fearful that it won't get done in the mail in time, you can drop off your ballot to each building in the Valley Central School District. That's the school itself, the office, Berea, the elementary schools. They are allowing drop-off locations at all of those schools. So if you have any questions, call the school district, shoot an email out to them. They are working, they are answering their phones. But if you fear putting it in the mail won't get there in time, because according to the school district, if you don't get the vote in by mail, 5 p.m. on Tuesday, June 9th, it won't be counted. So if you want your vote to be counted and you don't trust the mail, deliver it, hand deliver it to the drop box at any of the school buildings.
And just to clarify, I think the boxes are right inside the main door, so you actually need to walk inside, wear a mask, because they're not gonna let you inside.
During regular hours, but I think there's gonna be a drop-off location after hours, specifically, definitely at the admin building. There's gonna be a drop-off.
Okay,
That
that was
may not
not,
be-
I
yeah.
don't think that was said on the Concom.
It might not have been, yeah.
And anything sent out from the village of Montgomery, well, your father works there, right? Send something out from the village of Montgomery post office, it's gonna go to Albany and come back to the
Yeah.
school, so they're not gonna get it if you
Yeah.
mail it on Saturday.
But there's certain people that aren't gonna wanna go out and drop it off too, so it's just gonna disenfranchise, it's gonna be tough, it's a tough situation. I'm glad I'm not running that operation. They had to hand stuff 17,000 ballots, the school district and some volunteers, because the vendor they used to print the ballots was backed up, because everybody was using the same vendor. So the ballots didn't come in, they had to actually hand stuff 17,000 ballots to mail out this week. Yeah, it's strange times. Okay, I would like to establish a beautification committee, much like the task force that we've done and some of the other things that I've done, as a supervisor. Outside is looking kind of ragged, and in Walden, we have a beautification committee. Back when I was mayor, and it worked out great. We have people that volunteer their time and kind of give advice, and there's certain things that I'm not quite sure who's been responsible for in the past in terms of making things look beautiful and putting plants in and stuff like that. And I'm not the best qualified to do that, so I'd love to create a subcommittee, and I plan to do that. Just kind of a supervisor, advisory committee, beautification committee in Town of Montgomery. If you know anyone who wants to serve on it, let me know. It'll be voluntary and informal. You do? Perfect. Just hand them over to me, and we'll start having meetings. All right. And that will be not just for like plantings, but if we wanted to decorate trees at Town Hall with lights and stuff like that, it'll be kind of an all-year thing.
Are you sure for that, Will?
Will would know. Pete would know.
Do you
For
know-
volunteers? Yes.
Yeah.
If we have volunteers doing work for the village, yes, they're coming.
Putting a shovel in the ground?
As long long as they're working under the supervision of someone who works for the town, yeah.
Do you know if the, community garden was started this year? I was wondering.
Yes, I was out there, recently with
So
Tom
we're
Steve.
allowed to do that?
Yeah, they're out there, absolutely. They're working, they're flourishing actually, and, I was working with them to help them try to get more water to that area. And I recently negotiated with Bruce Schaefer, to try to not have those speed bumps there anymore, because people are going around the speed bumps and it's just leaving tire marks, ugly, ugly tire marks on our beautiful park. So me and Bruce talked on the phone, and we're going to try to have a gentleman's agreement with the gardeners and with Bruce to say, hey, no more speed bumps, but slow down, because dirt road, you go too fast, the dust goes all over his yard, so we're gonna try to be neighborly. So hopefully those, yeah, the speed bumps, they were not, I wasn't a big fan of those. All right, that's, oh no, ambulance corps. So Sherry and I are going to have another task force meeting by our work session, our next meeting. This is gonna be back on the agenda. We're gonna have the beginnings of a long-term sustainable plan. We seem to be getting very close with the ambulance corps themselves on an agreement on a kind of sustainable plan moving forward. So we look forward to presenting that to you guys. I know we talked about deadlines. We've met those deadlines so far. We did talk about late spring, early summer, May, June to really come back and put a plan in place. So we plan to do that.
We didn't give them any money this month?
Now this month,
They still have money left.
I think 20-something thousand.
2,000, 23,000, something.
Yep. And they applied, I worked with them, and they've applied for PPP. So hopefully they get that. That will be helpful. All right, we're gonna make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Make that motion.
A specific employee of the town and their employment history.
Okay. Motion made by Councilman Mellon, seconded by Councilman Voss. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried.
809, Farrah.
You got the screen up, Billy?
tomorrow.
I think I sent an email out.
You did, I think so, I
What?
gotta find it.
So just, yeah, find that email and then we'll confirm a date. We're good, Billy?
Yeah.
Okay, a motion to come out of executive session was made at
8:29
8:29.
by Councilwoman Melick and seconded by Councilwoman Voss with a 5-0 vote.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilwoman Brown,
Second.
seconded by Councilwoman Melick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried.
8:30.
8:30.
Are we off there?